So in the last class we were talking that how the person starts living the life differently. Ekanta sthiti, indriya uparamani. So once there is ekanta sthiti, so living in solitude, so choosing to be alone, because everybody is alone, okay, at the end of the day, especially at the time of death, whether you like it or not, you have to be alone. And if you are not alone, you cannot die also. But there you choose to be alone or you are forced to be alone, it is up to you, up to your maturity, up to your understanding. So here one chooses to be alone. So living in the solitude, definitely the sense organs are restricted. It's a natural process. But please understand, yes, it is a natural process, but suddenly when you get a chance, then you start blabbering, not talking, blabbering. That is equally dangerous. So that means somewhere you have not really seen it very carefully. However, then that becomes hetu. For what? For becomes damaha. And not only that becomes hetu, the cause, or leads to dama, sense control. Then chetasa sarodhe karanam. Then because of that reason, shamaha comes. And of course, from shamaha, then slowly aham vasana resolution takes place. So the aham vasana, that ego, when mind is calm and quiet, so you always look at the cost of a peace, there is nothing to achieve in life. Somebody said very nicely, reaching at the target is called success. But while reaching at the target, taking care of the loved ones is called happiness. However, there are different type of statement comes differently, don't worry, okay? So here, at the cost of my happiness, peace of my mind, I cannot establish myself. I cannot put my ahankar in the front. That's why, especially if you look at any big fellows, those who have really contributed, like for example, Einstein, lot of stories goes about him. In fact, his wife always considered him as a dumb fellow in the world. And one of the best example is what you know, that cat and kitten. Now he says, look, this cat and kitten, so they are staying in one place. Why? How come there is only one passage? There could have been two passages. The wife said, what are you talking? No, yes, one for cat, another small one for kitten. Because he could not think of that also the kitten can get into through the big one. So there are a lot of stories about Einstein. So that means his wife must be thinking, the dumbest fellow in the world, okay? How and why did I get married to this fellow? I'm not telling you jokes. Or he must think, okay, Appa, he's busy. Appa, no problem. Because whatever is, nothing enters in his mind, okay? He's indifferent one. But, so there is either frustration, anyway frustration, okay? Let us not get into that. It's their problem, not our problem. So point is here very clear, that aham vasana, so there is no need. That's why the big people, they don't fight, they don't establish themselves in the home, at home. There is no point. So that's why when this happens, but ahankara will not allow. How can I? You understand? So that doesn't work. So however, when this happens, ananda rasanubhuti, and that too achala. So unbroken happiness, the person will start enjoying, cherishing. And that is, this yogi really starts enjoying. That is nothing called brahmistiti, abiding with the Brahman. In fact, that word name is called brahmistiti. And of course, that's why what one should do. He says, look, chitta nirodha eva satatam karya prayatnat munehi. This is the take home point. So always a muni, a contemplative person, must put effort. And for what? Prayatnat. And because only by prayatnam, by putting effort, will be able to what? Chitta nirodha, will be able to quieten the mind. So generally, for a common person, chitta nirodha is like system hanging. Or battery is exhausted. I hope you get my point, okay? When you give too many commands to the computer, what happens to the computer? So the system slows down. Poor fellow doesn't understand what is to be done. So starts hanging. Or batteries out. Then slowly you will discover, even if you switch, put any button or anything, nothing works. Because there is no power. Same thing also, people, chitta nirodha, either this or that. Have you not observed? There is no energy in the physical body. That is called battery, power out, okay? Even if you want to do nothing, because there is no energy. The moment energy comes in, you know better what happens, okay? Everything pop up at a time. Another one is system hangs. So many thoughts, only smoke, smoke, smoke. So they say, mind becomes blank. But somebody told me nicely, Swamiji, mind becomes blank in two ways. Sometimes out of happiness also mind becomes blank. And then I have to tell that person, okay, please hold on. I want to watch how long, okay? However, that's why one should put effort to quieten the mind, not in regular two ways. Let us read next what is to be done. Vacham niyachatmani tam niyacha buddho dhyam yachacha buddhi sakshina sakshini tam chapi purnatmani nirvikalpe vilapya shantim paramam bhajasva. So that's why what is to be done. It says, look, bacham diyacha. And where? Atmani, in the mind. So Lord, withdraw. So this is a process of withdrawal. So withdrawing bacham, the speech, in the mind. Like, sometimes I love to see the editing. And sometimes in the certain movies and certain clips they do it, taking back. But in cricket they only replay. But they don't reverse, take back, okay? Something very nice, Suppose you do something and again it going back, reverse back. How is it? Somehow I like that, okay? Same way, this reversing process has to be done in me. Because unless there is a thought in me, will I be able to talk? So the speech is nothing but the expression of my thought. Or I would rather say extension of the thought. When I am not able to handle my thought, there is a pressure, then only I talk, especially anger time. When I am angry, how do I do? So there are a lot of things, whether to talk, not to talk. If nothing happens, both the teeth, sound will come. Poor teeth also will start crying, okay, you understand? Because the thought is so much, it comes through the expression. Now it says vacham, the speech especially, that which is very calculated, that which has got a pattern, that which has got a rhythm, please understand. This is what I have observed. Now I am becoming bad here. Because sometimes when you are associated with the wrong people, you shout. That gets extended to other people also. Because it is a pattern. Can you see this point? So you observe that without shouting, nothing happens. This is what we have been spoiled from our childhood. I'm sorry to say, parents, they did not know. They thought only by shouting my child can understand. Only by getting angry child will be able to understand. Did not be. They could have become indifferent to us. Sometimes being indifferent to somebody, you can punish much more. Have you not observed? Just be indifferent. If you want to communicate something to somebody, be indifferent. That's all. But being indifferent is not a joke. You need to have that sort of maturity. That's why Puja Swami used to say, getting angry is your birthright. You can get angry, nothing wrong in it. Because it is a reaction, you can. But never ever victimize others, including yourself. So that's why if you become indifferent, you are not victimizing neither the person nor yourself. In fact, other person starts victimizing himself or herself. Can you see this point? However, coming to the point here very carefully, that learning to bring back, this is a process. And once you start enjoying that process, I'll tell you something very different. You literally don't bother what is happening in and around you. You are very comfortable with yourself. That's why, then what happens? Tam niyacha buddhuhu. So once this thing, then you have to learn to resolve. Suppose so many things. Oh, I should have talked this thing. Why I could not talk? What is this? Then smoke will come out and you will burst. So this mind has to be resolved, to be taken back to the buddhi. Because unless my decision making faculty supports the mind, will be mind able to be stronger, will be able to think in long run. So the decision making faculty which is supported by information and experience. Can you see this point? What is your decision making process? All your decision making process is directly supported by the knowledge that you have, what you call information, and the experience. And they only push you to decide. So if you have bitter experiences in your life, definitely most of the decision will be accordingly. If you have happier experiences in your life, better experiences in your life, definitely your decision will be differently. So when you say you decide, this is my decision, who are you to decide? It is your information and the experience put together decides. Can you see this point? So that's why then again it goes to mind. Because through mind again you want to strengthen or gather more information and more experience. Can you see this point? This is a trap. So that's why he says, look, you need to take to the buddhi, and buddhi again is nothing again backed up by this mind. Both mind and buddhi, they are supporting each other. It's like, no, let me scratch your back, in return you scratch my back. And that's why we are connected to each other. Can you see? We are supporting to each other. This is exactly the job of the mind and buddhi. So then he says, look, what you need to do? Buddho dhyam yacha cha buddhisakshini. This is a beautiful point. So what I need to do? Now this buddhi to be again withdrawn. To whom? To the witness. That which witnesses my intellect, my decision making faculty. As a Sakshi Swarupa, oh. You understand? This is the sound comes. Oh. So when you start doing oh, that means what? You are able to see the limitations of your decision making faculty. Please understand, this is a very beautiful thing to observe in life. Generally, very rarely, you see the limitations of your decision making faculty. You see sometimes fault in your decision. In fact, you say, oh, it was a wrong decision. It was a wrong call, wrong movement. You understand? These are the expressions we have. So that means you don't see the limitations of decision-making faculty, but you corner or you conclude or you aim at a given decision. But generally you don't see the limitation of decision-making faculty. In fact, decision-making faculty most of the time makes mistake. I will not observe. This is what I am seeing more and more, okay, for myself. That's why sometimes I don't want to decide, to be very honest. Let me flow the way supposed to flow. Who am I to decide? Once upon a time, I was a man of decision, okay? You understand? Now what? So you want to pull my right leg? It's a right hand, not leg. Please don't pull my leg, okay? You want to pull my right hand? Please. No, left hand? Okay. If you both are pushed, hey, please, I am having body pain. Can you give me some time? So once my body pain is over, again you can pull, okay? But God sake, don't pull my leg, okay? However, so that's why taking to Sakshi. And of course, once you start witnessing, sometimes witnessing becomes such a nice job. Without knowing, you go, I am witnessing. The sense of superiority comes so strong, which also becomes complicated. That is being said, that what is to be done? That also to be reserved. The, sense of witnessing. That I am witnessing. That sense to be resolved in Purnatmani. In the Atma, that which is full, complete. And in fact, when this Purnatmani, when it is being resolved, then what happens? Nirvikalpe vilapya shantim paramam bhajasva. So that's what it says. Automatically the person what? Will be nirvikalpa. Samadhi. That is called Nirvikalpaka Samadhi. And when the person starts getting into merging, then of course Shanti, only the mind is very calm, peaceful. Paramam, not ordinarily, supremely. Of course, that mind, something to be really enjoyed. Please read the next. Deha pranendriya manobuddhyadibhirupadhivihi. You can, if you want to make it 8 also, like Deha pranondriya mano buddhyadibhirupadhivihi. Yai vritte samadhe yoga samayoga tat tat bhavo yasya yoginah. That's why if you look at Deha prana indriya manobuddhi adibhi upadibhi yai. So that means very clearly yai with whichever, whatever way you look at. And of course, the thought that is connected to what? With Deha, Prana, Indriya, Mana, Buddhi. And all these are called Upadhis. So these are the conditionings. Starting with this body, gross body. Prana, sense organs, mind, intellect, etc. Ahankara, chitta. So you can say mind also, subconscious mind, unconscious mind, and other things. You can see, you can bring anything you want, okay? My psychological being, this, that, all these things. And what happens here is that when this mind gets associated with all these things, tat bhava asya yoginah iti. Automatically, accordingly, if you observe, the person, especially yogi, also gets transformed. That's why wherever mind gets associated, there my mind behaves accordingly. That's why if a person is so much gross body oriented, the person has to be gross. If the person is so much prana oriented, definitely that person pranic energy will be different. So whatever, for example, if you look at, if a person is so much associated with the food, so before starting thinks of food, while traveling think of food, anywhere, everywhere sees food, okay, let me enjoy. Definitely that fellow has to be, you understand? Because this is what the food will do the job. You cannot. So whatever association, accordingly that results. Then read the next. Why? Because he is going to talk something, okay? Tanne vritya mune samyak sarvo paramanam sukham sandrushyate sadananda rasanubhava viplavaha. Says, look, as you know very well, these two verses to be taken and together actually. As you know, when mind is associated with either body, prana, sense organs, mind or intellect, accordingly, mind starts behaving, or based on that association, the person becomes that. Then what is to be done? He says, tat nivritya munehi. So that's why what is to be done? One is supposed to start doing dissociating oneself from those. And who is that person? Munehi, a contemplative person. So for a man who is a contemplating, so that person has to do how? Samyak completely. Sarva Paramanam Sukham iti. remember, when you are able to uparamanam, that to entirely, then only sukham, you will start enjoying the happiness. There is some type of joy. And of course, you will see Sandrushya means the person finds, the person will be able to see that, enjoy that. And what is that? Sadananda rasa anubhava viplavaha. And this is not ordinary sukham. The sukham is sadananda rasa. So exactly like raso vaisaha, we said, very nicely expression we have. Rasa means here like rasam, okay. Typically in South India, when they eat rasam, okay, that's very nice. Somehow this I like this part, okay. With reference to rasam, everybody is greedy. Whether with reference, because there is nothing in rasam, only water, okay. But everybody is greedy. Even if big fellows becomes greedy with reference to rasam. Do you know what they do is, first rasam will be sour. This is a typical South Indian fellow eats, okay. You should see, which I also love it, okay. So the hand, you understand. But they are very smart. While pouring rasam, they will touch, they will ask the mixing. Actually, they don't mix. The attitude is that not mixing. To see whether the temperature is okay or not. So when you mix the rasam, so temperature is found. Then once you discover temperature is perfect, do you know what? So the hand. So the rasam has to be poured in the hand. Then, and you should see the expression of the person, okay? So I really observe this point very carefully. So everybody becomes greedy with reference to rasam, because that rasam I am talking about here, okay? Raso vaisa. That's the real rasam, okay? However, coming to the point here, here is Sadananda rasam. Oh, you heard all the time. Sada means nitya, eternal, continuous, ananda, happiness. And that's why, and there is anubhava. The person starts, seeing it, experiencing it. Not externally, not differently. And this is what happens. So that means it's very clear. The more I start withdrawing, the more I start enjoying. Generally, people think this is what we have been taught, that the more I am engrossed, the more I will enjoy. In fact, all my activities is nothing, only to engross myself without any hindrance, without any obstacles. This is what we have been taught. But in reality, the more I withdraw, the more I enjoy. That's why we say very carefully. If you look at Trinity, God, this Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. So who is the person who enjoys the most? Shiva. But Vishnu pretends to enjoy because he is a manager. Na? Lying down, he pretends that he is enjoying. Hey, imagine, I don't know what to say, okay? I'm sorry to say. When your wife is next to you, how can you enjoy? It's impossible to relax, boss. Some problem or others you will bring it, even if there is no problem. That is what Lakshmi does. Every time. You did not help that person, you did not help this person. That's why we all are devotee of Lakshmi. So that, our message will reach to him. Whereas Vishnu will enjoy, pretend nothing he knows. Whereas Shiva, Parvati, get out. You go to your house, please go. Leave me alone, okay? Or else if nothing happens, he will close his eyes in Samadhi. Whether Parvati is there or not makes no difference. Anyway, joke apart. This is what the situation, truth. The more one withdraws, the more one becomes happy. So that's why one must learn to do the withdrawal process. How? Let us read a few verses. Goes on this. Antastyago bahistyaga viraktasyeva yujyate त्यजन्त्यंस्तवहिर संगम viraktastu mumukshaya. This is a beautiful verse to look at. So here he highlights that there are two types of renunciation. So one is internal, other one is external. So one can start with external renunciation, because earlier it was talked external renunciation. But because you have renounced externally, that does not mean you will be able to, or internal renunciation will happen spontaneously. Need not. And because you have renounced internally, need not be externally. That's why here is being highlighted. External and internal renunciation is something to be cultivated. And how? He says, look, he says the person who is a virakta. So virakta means the one who is not fascinated for anything. So there is nothing interesting for the person. Means the person who has seen the limitations of anything and everything. It is not that person is fed up with everything. No. Not the person who is tired of everything. No. For whom there is nothing fascinates. And for that person, he says, look, that person eva viraktasyeva yujyate. And how it is both antaha and bahityagam. So that person, antatyagam and bahityagam, both can do. That both internal and external. Because when there is nothing to fascinate, so definitely mind will not go crazy. Okay. It is like, have you not observed, especially men do it, women doing very rarely, because I cannot say. Men do very well this point. Sometimes, this wife and husband, because I have seen in many houses, that's what I am saying. So, wife will come and talk to something, and especially this men when they read newspaper, okay? This is a very bad thing. Because I have seen also in my childhood, when we will be holding the newspaper, and that time, as though this mother will not have anything to do. Exactly when you read newspaper or do something, that time, can you do this thing, can you do that? And that time while reading newspaper, we are beyond everything, pretending, okay? Nothing enters, you understand? Let the person talks, oh, somebody is coming. So behave like a virakta. This is temporarily, okay? We behave perfectly like a virakta, okay? But if says, teacher is coming, your teacher is coming. You are a virakta, go away. You become full of rakta. How to run away? Leave the newspaper and read the book, you understand? So coming back, this is a very typical thing I have observed. That how you are not, when you are not fascinated by anything, how you become indifferent. This is the point, to communicate nothing else. The indifference becomes a spontaneous process when you don't have anything that which fascinates. And because that is to be done, that is to be cultivated, that is to be exercised. This is what is being highlighted. And for that person, what happens? And who is that person? He says beautifully, the one who is Virakta here, because that time we are Virakta, also while reading newspaper, Virakta, remember, because we don't want to listen anything, you understand? But here the person is Virakta as what? Mumukshaya. The person happens to be a mumukshu. So because the person is desirous of liberation, now this person only what he does? Antarpai sangam tyajati iti. Only that person is able to give up, is able to grow out of both antah internal and vahi external. Let us read the next verse. Bahistu visai sangam tathantaraham adivihi virakta eva saknoti tyaktum brahmani tisthati. Says again, if we look at very nicely, carefully, that if you observe, this only can happen if a person is viraktaha. 1 minute. Okay, ahamadevi. Yeah, correct. So only when a person is a viraktaha. And problem here is, if you become a virakta person, sometimes there are virakta people, we say virakta sannyasi, and they are critical of anything and everything. That's not healthy either. So that means something is seriously wrong. Because you are a virakta, that does not mean that everybody has to be virakta. It's your problem, or your understanding. So neither you have to impose your understanding on me, nor you have to impose your frustration on me. Can you see this point? Sometimes, like how parents impose their understanding or their dream upon child, sometimes this virakta people or this wise people or would-be wise people impose their understanding upon other people. It happens, which is not healthy either. So that's why I say, virakta heva saknoti, the one who is a dispassionate, for whom there is nothing fascinates. That person alone, saknoti, is able to what? Tyaktum. And what he is able to tyaktum? Give up. So he is able to give up what? On sangam. Sangam means attachment, association, with reference to visayayihi, that is related to external, vahihi, the objects that is related to external, and of course the reflection of the object that is called internal. And who are they? Ahamadivihi. So ahamadivihi starts with the ego. So external objects, when the external objects gets reflected in the mind, that gets converted with aham. That object becomes my object. Can you see this point? That person becomes my person. Unless and until that person becomes my person, or in that person I have interest, that object related to me, or will be related to me, or was related to me. So unless that ahamkara gets into, mamakara gets into the object, that cannot be reflected in me. And if it gets reflected also, that will not last long. Have you not observed this? Every day you read newspaper. Do you remember anything? Thank God. To be very honest, I don't remember anything in the newspaper. Nothing I nowadays remember. That's another point, okay? Including which verse I have to take also, that I don't remember, okay? Because why you don't remember? Because you are not there. But in one day, your name had appeared, or some of your related person's name has appeared. Do you remember the headline or not? In fact, in which page it appeared, which date you may forget, which page it appeared, you must have remembered that. Like a photo print, you understand? How and why? Because there is ahamkara involved. So that's why we say technically, please understand, the more you carry your past in you, that in a stronger way, the more you were hurt or your ego was involved. Just imagine your childhood. If you observe childhood, each one of us must have gone through tough time. How many people have humiliated us, God only knows. While talking time, few of them will encourage others, not able to talk, stammering, not learning, hey, they will laugh. In fact, when the child talks something, we laugh, child also laughs, again start talking. Have you not observed this? We have been humiliated a lot in our childhood. Look, observe a child. Physically, we have gone through tough time as a child. Do we remember? We don't remember much. Thank God. Do you know why? Because ahankara was not there strongly. Because ahankara was not there, ahankara was not affected. That's why we don't remember. But in small issue somewhere, ahankara was abused. Because this is a very bad word in West. In India, we didn't have this word at all, to be very honest. Anything and everything they'll say, I am abused. I was abused. What is this word abuse? Till now I don't understand, okay? Sometimes I looked at the dictionary, okay, to understand the seriousness of the word, the way people talk. And this is a psychological jargon, please understand. The word abuse is a completely psychological jargon. And it has its own multiple reactions, multiple level of understanding you cannot think of. The word itself. And remember, all these things are related to the ahankara. Not to the incident, not to the person, not to anything, anybody. Do you understand this point? So that's why a viraktaha is able to saknoti. Saknoti means able to, praptyaktum is able to give up. When the person brahmani tishtati iti, when the person is established in one's own self. When the person is abiding in one's own self. So because of association, let us say, of Brahman, all other association drops, if you want to talk in a positive way. So when you are associated with Brahman, which is technically wrong, but still I am putting it just sake of putting, okay? All other association drops. And of course, we'll see how this Vairagya Bodha happens, like a Pakshi example it gives. We'll discuss on Monday. Please close your eyes. Om Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnahat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Shishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.